Alright, so like I've said before, these videos are made days, if not weeks in advance, but at the time of writing this video, I have finally seen the Game Awards show. Basically, what I've gotten from that show is that Expedition 33 is the first good video game in history, and there's a new hero shooter that will probably be cancelled after a month, and Jeff Keighley f***ed Miss Piggy on stage. So that's how that went. Anyways, let's talk about Plants vs. Zombies. In my opinion, to have played Plants vs. Zombies is to have loved Plants vs. Zombies. This game is great, and I cannot imagine a person playing it and not enjoying it. It's a very accessible tower defense game with a beautiful, expressive art style, not to mention one of the most underrated soundtracks in video games. Like, every track on this game is either really whimsical or really catchy or both. I could listen to the music all day. Also, there's a really nice video game attached to it. It's simple. Zombies slowly approach the house, so you have to plant these crazy plants in the ground to fend them off. It's a very fun game and also a very nostalgic game. It's a relic from the brief period of time when mobile games were new. It definitely wasn't exclusive to mobile devices, but that's how I primarily remember it. I would talk shit about mobile games all the time back then, but the reality was I was just jealous because I didn't get a smartphone until years after they became widespread. This series is in a bit of a weird place right now though. They did make a sequel, but basically what I remember from that sequel is EA trying to slap your ass with microtransactions and shit, and then there's Garden Warfare, which honestly looks kinda fun, but it's a whole different kinda game altogether. Which brings us to the fan game community. A few years back, I played Mushrooms vs. Goombas, which is basically PVZ with Mario characters, but today, I have a whole different kind of game. An expanded and revamped version of the original game titled Plants vs. Zombies Fusion. This game comes to us all the way from China, but another group of fan game creators actually stepped in to create an English fan translation, so what I'm actually playing here is technically a fan game of a fan game. Now that's the type of shit I'm here for. That's just really cool. Now before I begin, I just want to point out that this game is not to be confused with PVZ Hybrid, which is based on a similar concept but is a different game. I may look at that some other day, but for now, it's time to fuse. Plants vs. Zombies Fusion is a big fan-made expansion for the original game with a bunch of new features. The elevator pitch is that it's Plants vs. Zombies, except you can mix different plants together to create all kinds of crazy hybrid things. You can turn everything into an explosive by putting a cherry on them, or reinforce them by putting a walnut on them, put a 3-peater on tangleweed to make it shoot this spiky shit. I could make a list of everything you could do, but if I did that, the video would be somehow even longer than yesterday's, but basically there's a whole lot of exciting combinations or fusions you can make with the existing plants. I don't know why, but when I mix a pea shooter with a cherry bomb, it looks like really yummy candy. I think my favorite one though is the lantern, which you can mix with other plants and then their effects get buffed by any surrounding lanterns. Just look at that, you don't need any stats to know that that's a winning strategy. And the best part is, you can unlock even more combinations by completing optional challenge missions. Some upgrades from the original game are gone and are replaced with just simply putting the same base level plant on top of itself numerous times. So you technically have things like the Gatling pea shooter right out of the gate, for instance. For basically the first hour of this game, I wasn't even trying to play it like a tactician. There was no particular strategy. I just wanted to see all the different kinds of plants. I wanted to see what they looked like after I combined them, and I was always pleasantly surprised by how good the fusion plants looked. In a lot of cases, it probably wouldn't be immediately clear to an onlooker that they weren't official. The designs and animations are so lively and appear to be largely in line with the vanilla game on which it's based. On top of this, there's also some new music, which is always a fun bonus. There's a level of professionalism, at least in terms of presentation, that adds up to something that I think anyone could be forgiven for mistaking for an officially licensed product. Well, mostly. I don't know what the fuck that is. You also have the feature of moving plants from one space to another while playing, which normally you'd have to commit pretty hard to a space, and if you decided something else should go there, You'd have to destroy the original plant and replace it. The glove does have a cooldown though, so you do have to strategize. On top of this, sometimes zombies will actually drop armor that you can place on some select plants to reinforce them and allow them to tank a bunch of hits, which is also incredibly helpful. Not to mention the game will sometimes dispense fertilizer to give the plants their health back. You'd think all of these things together, being able to make an army of super broken hybrid plant Uruk-hai would make the game very easy, and apparently the developer thought so too, which is why the zombies are now insane. In the regular adventure mode, you'll fight zombies with all kinds of weird stuff on their heads, including some of the new fusion plants, and they can absolutely ruin you. It can happen so quickly too, like there's one guy who turns into a cherry bomb pea shooter combo and he just spits bombs that can annihilate 3 rows of your defensive strategy in like 2 seconds. If you're not paying attention, if you're playing the game on autopilot, this guy is going to wake you up and it is going to be rude as fuck. And then they introduce this guy who can jump over plants like in the original, except now he spawns 4 other guys at the same time and they all jump the next plant. It gets to a point where even when you have every broken plant at your disposal, the game is still surprisingly challenging. And would you believe this is on normal difficulty? Well, maybe you do believe that, but there are 3 more difficulty levels above this one. I try not to get into the habit of telling people what the right way to play the game is, but I cannot recommend these higher difficulties. They're more annoying than anything else. At least I think. The game is not always super well balanced, but when there are this many variables, it's kinda hard to blame them for that. One thing I appreciate, however, is how much information is communicated to the player, telling you precisely how much health the plants and the zombies have. The only issue with this is that it can result in a lot of visual clutter, especially in the more intense scenes, but thankfully you always have the option of disabling it in the menu. All of these things together make for a brand new Plants vs. Zombies experience, one that doesn't replace the original game, but keeps it fresh. It feels in many ways like it could be some kind of sequel or spin-off. There are a lot of new things in this game, including supposedly some crazy boss fights, but I don't want to spoil it all, which is definitely the only reason for not showing it here, and it has nothing at all to do with me being too bad at the game and not being able to get far enough to unlock it. Really though, I feel like if the fusion mechanic on its own didn't sell you, then that's probably my fault for not explaining it well enough, because I feel like it's just a fact that this is cool as shit. Even though it's not always the most balanced game, it's still a very robust suite of all new content and features. I found it to be fun, creative, and more than a little bit crazy, and even after several hours of gameplay, it keeps finding weird ways to surprise me. And I hope you can experience that for yourself. And that's a wrap for today, but be sure to come back tomorrow. It's going to be another longer video, although it won't quite be endless, if you will. But I hope to see you there all the same. That is all, and Merry Christmas, cousins!